They won by 12 points, whatever it was. They won this game for quite a number of reasons. First of all, Caitlin Clark. This is how you bounce back. This is how you bounce back. Like, I don't care that she went 6 of 17 from the field. I don't care took her 17 shots, scored 17 points. Fuck it. If the referees had called fouls, those free throws would have said 14, not 4. It got to
The Indiana Fever delivered when it mattered. Coming into this game, the team looked vulnerable.
The kind of opponent an opposing squad circles on.
The schedule with confidence. Portland had apparently identified a blueprint for beating them. And according to underlying shot quality metrics, the Fever had no business winning. They won anyway, and it was not particularly close by the final margin. There are several reasons the result went the way it did. Caitlin Clark went 6 of 17 from the field. That shooting line does not matter.
Not 4. It got to the stage where she was celebrating a foul. They hacked the shit out of her. But also, Ryan Howard did not make a field goal when Caitlin Clark was on the floor. Caitlin was guarding Ryan at times. Caitlin was being guarded by Ryan. And Ryan Howard just didn't even shoot the ball when Caitlin was on the floor. As soon as Caitlin comes out, Ryan hits 2 threes. But I got to just talk, first of all, about the Dream, who were poor. 6 of 21 from 3. Angel Reese.
She scored 10 points, got to the line 4 times, when the fouls being committed against her probably warranted 14, and at one point celebrated simply getting a call. Because the physical contact she had been absorbing all night without whistles had become genuinely absurd. What stood out, though, was her defensive impact. Ryan Howard did not make a single field goal while Clark was on the floor. The moment Clark came to the bench, Howard knocked down back-to-back threes. That is not coincidence. Clark also protected the ball, ran the offense intelligently, and delivered in stretches that changed the shape of the game.
6 of 21 from 3. Angel Reese airballed a 3 pretty badly. She got her last minute of the game double-double. 4 turnovers to be expected. Jordan Canada, I thought just hacked. Like, she had 6 fouls, could have been 16. Ryan Howard, again, just forgot how to play offense. Alicia Gray just missed. Like, it was a really bad day. It was a really, really bad day for the Atlanta Dream. I'm going to be honest.
One sequence in particular. Isolating on Howard for a one-legged mid-range bucket, immediately following it with a stop on Jordan Canada, then feeding Kelsey for a basket. Turned a moment where Atlanta was threatening to take control into a fever run. If her shots had fallen, or if FIBA assist rules applied, this would be discussed as one of the better individual performances of her career. She was the first back on defense, first up the floor in transition, and the engine behind how the offense moved. Atlanta had a rough night. The Dream shot 6 of 21 from 3. Angel Reese hit a 3-point attempt that did not come close, though she did manage a double-double in the final minute alongside 4 turnovers.
Really, really bad day for the Dream. Pow Pow couldn't hit a shot. I thought Medina O'Cott was good. I'll give her credit. She's the only player I would say I thought played well for Atlanta. Angel wasn't terrible. Wasn't good, wasn't terrible. But yeah, I think the Atlanta Dream were poor. But the Indiana Fever, a really good game. Like, if you're, like, Kelsey Mitchell didn't even take a shot in the fourth quarter. But Kelsey Mitchell in that third quarter. Like, Kelsey was good in the first half. She was pretty good.
Jordan Canada picked up 6 fouls, any number of which could have been called earlier without controversy. Ryan Howard went quiet on offense at the most critical moments. The only Atlanta player who performed consistently was Medina Cloud. Everyone else came up short. The story of the game's turning point belongs to Kelsey Mitchell. With Atlanta taking a lead in the third quarter, Mitchell went on a one-woman stretch that covered both ends of the floor and ended with a pull-up 3 off a fast break, a shot she had no business taking but buried anyway.
She was pretty good in the first half. And then in the second half, the Dream come out and take the lead in the third quarter. They go out and get the lead. I think it was like 43-42, and then Kelsey Mitchell goes on a one-man show. A one-woman show, both ends of the floor. Which ended on her getting a steal, dribbling on the fast break, and instead of driving to
her plus-minus finished at plus 14. The Fever did not build a comfortable fourth-quarter lead without that run, even if Mitchell was largely absent in the fourth itself. Plotter of the game, no debate. Off the bench, Misha Hines-Allen was the most physically dominant presence on the court. She bullied Angel Reese repeatedly, a noteworthy outcome, given that Reese has made a reputation out of physicality against some of the stronger front court players in the league. Raven Johnson got exposed defensively on a few possessions, but hit a crucial three-pointer when the game needed one.
Instead of driving to the basket or passing the ball to, I can't remember, someone was under the basket for a layup, she shot a pull-up 3 and nailed it. Like, it was one of those games where it's like you forget during that spell, her hot streak, you forget everything you know about the sport of basketball, and you just let her cook. Just let her cook. As you've seen by an insane plus 14 plus minus. The bench were a lot better than the stars. Lexi, look, didn't do anything. She hit some free throws.
Sophie Cunningham converted her looks. Aaliyah Boston made big shots late, despite picking up 5 fouls, some legitimate, some questionable. The bench outperformed the supporting cast in ways that did not show up in traditional counting stats. Clark was reportedly ill at halftime. She came back out and played her best defensive game. In the league, that context matters.
Anything. She hit some free throws and made a layup. Mo Billings is legitimately, like, I feel bad for Mo Billings, but like, I feel really bad for Mo Billings. But she might be the worst player. She's the worst contract in a league that's paying Kennedy Burke $1 million. She's the worst contract in a league that's paying Temi $1 million. Temi's played a half. Temi has played a half this season.
This came in a week where former NBA players were publicly claiming the Fever were looking to move her, and where social media was full of posts heavily implying she was a locker room problem. Against that backdrop, she responded with the kind of all-around performance that does not make a highlight reel, but tells a more complete story of what she can do. On the sideline, when Clark's run finally came, Stephanie White's reaction was as immediate. The two connected in a moment that spoke to something beyond a coach-player dynamic that had been cast in the worst possible light all week. For both of them to remain in Indianapolis, things need to improve. By the end of this game, it looked like both of them understood that, and both were moving in the same direction. Lynn Dunn recently gave an interview touching on coaching culture, core values, and what happens when a player does not fit the environment a program has built.
Temi has played a half this season. Looked completely garbage. Got benched for a fucking dev player. And I still believe that Temi has been better than Mo Billings this season. Mo Billings has been shocking. But KK, look, she did KK things. I'm not going to lie. Raven Johnson, defensively got cooked. I have to admit that Raven got cooked on defense. Offense.
The remarks were framed broadly. Talking points about leadership, vulnerability, accountability, and the foundation a coaching staff constructs around behavior rather than just technical skill, but the timing and specific language made the subtext difficult to ignore. Dunn spoke about culture as something that has to be planted, grown, and maintained, like a garden. And within that framing, she addressed one of players' presence conflicts with the values the organization has established. The exact phrasing. Sometimes you have to pull out the weeds. Sometimes the hardest decision is letting a player go, trading them, cutting them, because they no longer align with what the culture demands.
What of a situation, I believe, allegedly, possibly smearing Caitlin Clark based on the culture of Indiana basketball. That's the only explanation I have for is why we're seeing Dan Dietrich say things. Why? Look, why we're seeing so many different things. Because Stephanie White, Lynn Dunn, the Indiana Fever organizations are God.
That is the part that drew immediate attention. The backdrop to all of this matters. Throughout the week leading up to this interview, multiple voices in the media had been making a consistent argument that Caitlin Clark has outbursts, that she is difficult to coach, that her behavior creates friction rather than cohesion. SSPN contributors said it. Several analysts echoed it. The narrative had been building steadily. The and Dunn's comments dropped directly into the middle of it.
Stephanie White, Lynn Dunn, the Indiana Fever organizations are gods in that city. And if somebody speak out against their people, they're going to have their back, right or wrong. That's what I believe is stemming this smear campaign, because there's definitely is one. If what I'm about to play out is true, because I have not seen this interview in its entirety of Lynn Dunn speaking about Caitlin.
Whether Dunn intended the remarks to reference Clark specifically is something only she can answer. But the alignment between what she said and what had been circulating publicly all week was not subtle, talking about removing players who do not fit the culture. In the same news cycle where Clark's coachability was being questioned across multiple platforms is a pairing that speaks for itself regardless of intent. There is also an observable pattern in how the Indiana organization operates more broadly. The Fever have a deeply established identity in the city, among the fan base that predates the Clark and within the coaching structure. Stephanie White and Lynn Dunn carry significant institutional authority in that environment.
Entirety of Lynn Dunn speaking about Caitlin Clark possibly being traded, but I could definitely see her being traded based off what I see. Somebody said, haven't you heard that they're making that trade? I haven't heard anything. Guys. Everything is just opinionated based things. I haven't heard anything. I'm going off what I seen with the fans, the people, the front office, Amber Kelly and them there sitting front row, Stephanie White pulling out the damn.
Criticism directed at either of them tends to get absorbed and pushed back against from multiple directions. That is not unusual for any organization with a tight-knit internal culture, but it does shape how outside narratives around players get received. The attendance situation at the most recent home game added another layer. The building was not full of Clark fans the way it had been in earlier games. That shift is worth noting not as a moral argument in either direction, but as a practical one. The commercial reality of the Clark era for the Fever has been undeniable. The numbers she generated in ticket revenue, viewership, and merchandise were transformational for the franchise.
Sitting front row, Stephanie White pulling out the damn garage. I'm going off what I seen. And what led me to even go was the drama between Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White. That's what led me to go to this, because we all know there was drama between Stephanie White and Caitlin Clark. They could try to hide it. They could try to cover it up. They can do whatever, because if nothing was there, they wouldn't have had a damn 2-hour meeting. Somebody said, dude, what kind of Kool-Aid are you drinking? I want some.
If that fan base is already starting to thin, the financial case for maintaining the current arrangement becomes a different conversation entirely. A trade is not confirmed. Nothing concrete has been reported, but the accumulation of signals, the coaching staff's public friction with Clark, the media narrative about her temperament, Dunn's carefully worded remarks about culture and removal, and the attendance patterns all point in a direction that is at minimum worth taking seriously. For an organization that operates with as much internal loyalty and insularity as Indiana has historically shown, the idea that they might eventually prioritize culture fit over star power is not far-fetched. It would be consistent with how they have handled things before.
He said, dude, what kind of Kool-Aid are you drinking? I want some. Too delusional to believe this crap. We need to analyze all the bad calls compilation video. Now, we going to get to the compilation video, but we got to get to this Landon thing, bro. We got to get to this Landon thing, because I want to see this thing, bro. Hold on. Hold on. Let's see here. Let's listen.
On to, 4 points that I wanted to bring together. I mean, from my standpoint, I think culture are the core values of the head coach. So that goes a little bit different than what Jay said, but it comes back to the players as well. And what I found out early in my career, or later in my career, that competency wasn't enough. Just because I knew X's and O's didn't make me a good leader. Vulnerability made me the leader that I wanted to be and could transform lives. So it's one thing to be able to teach them how to, take a snap. It's another thing how to somebody used the term influence is what leadership thing, how to somebody used the term influence is what leadership is influence and inspiration. So culture, are your core values.
Guys, I got to be honest. There wasn't a lot of Caitlin Clark fans there. You mean the 17,000 attendances Caitlin Clark showed up don't fit with the 4,000 average? Right. Caitlin Clark fans wasn't there. I haven't even got to the attendance. These are Indiana Fever fans, guys. I'm telling you what I know. I was there. This ain't no opinion. This ain't a lot of Caitlin Clark fans was not in attendance. A lot of Caitlin Clark fans was not in attendance last night. This is what I know.
And they give you the structure behind, what you do. They're really, as somebody said, they are your non-negotiable. So I just wanted to digress for 1 second. Pete Carroll in his final press conference in Seattle, it's really a good YouTube, really said it all when he talked about, and we're talking to a lot of young coaches out here, and this goes to my classes, is you